They said there's no doubt you'll surely lose. Go ahead and sing your tune. We didn't listen, stayed right on the truth. And now we're on the right side of the news.
Good morning, Poke the Hornet's Nest. I'm here with Doug Jenke, and I am Nick Gardner. I'm your homie G. I'm one of the hosts. Doug is the other host. And we had quite an election day. I'm going to tell you my experience doing elections. First off, I haven't been to a polling spot in 20, 25 years because where I was at, there's so few county people there, we didn't have a polling place, so they just sent us an absentee ballot. Oh. And that's how I voted for the last 20 years or more. But last Saturday, I decided to go to the poll worker training that Clint Curtis put on over at the Veterans Hall. And I paid attention, and I signed up to help. In fact, I had a time limit. I said I can be there at starting time till about noon or 1. And I told Michelle, the gal, and yeah, that's fine. Clint said it was fine too. And so everything went well. I told him I'd probably be a good greeter because I can greet people with a smile and direct them in the direction they need to go. So that being said, I get home Monday, and here is a call on my phone, my answering machine, my mechanical answering machine. She's got a sweet voice. And could I call the elections office? And they gave me the number to call, and the gal answers and said, Nick, you are going to help us out at Happy Valley Community Center. And I said, okay, what am I going to do? Well, you're the inspector. Well, I don't know what the inspector is. Turns out he's the head honcho. And you need to come down before 5 o'clock and pick up the ballots, and we'll give you directions what to do. So I go down, I pick up my ballots, and I'm told to go out to Happy Valley at the Happy Valley Community Center, and the janitor will meet me out there and give me the key to get in. And then I need to contact my group, and we'll be out there at 6 in the morning to set up. So I got out there, and I saw all the stuff that needed to be put together in a cage. I had to cut a seal because God forbid somebody get into it. And I started setting up, and I got done about 9:30. I was all set up. It was easy. They had a schematics where everything goes. And I got set up, but I didn't get a call as to who was going to help me. So I just showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning and was kind of putting my papers where they go and this kind of stuff, pamphlets, provisional ballot applications, and this and that and that and this. And Arthur Garman shows up, and he says, well, I'm going to be here. Katie, my wife, is she's got something she has to do. She'll be here about 9. And about 7 o'clock, people started trickling in. We did have one observer. She checked in, and people started trickling in. And Arthur, thank goodness, knew exactly what he was doing. And about 9 o'clock, Katie shows up. And she really was on top of it. And, myself, I didn't know hardly anything, but somehow we got through the day. Every vote got counted. Nobody was inconvenienced more than about a minute. And it was really amazing. If you went in there and you wanted to vote and your vote to be counted on election day, you had to surrender your envelope. We had to call up the elections office and make sure you hadn't voted yet, and then you had to mark your ballot and put it in a different box. Oh. And that's time-consuming. Probably 75 people did that, and that's a lot of calls to the... And you know what? The phone would ring once, somebody would answer, you push 5, I've got so-and-so, they'd spell his name. No, he hasn't voted. Okay, you're good, let's go. And it just ran smooth as punch, and I was there. And then there was supposed to be a couple people. There was 2 people that were closers. I think that was a new position. And they came in 2 hours early to help with the voting. And then they were going to close up the place while I took the ballots to Market Street, Placer and Market, the ROV office. And I couldn't go by myself. Somebody had to either ride with me or follow me. Well, at 8 o'clock, there was nobody to ride with me or follow me. There was just the two closers there. It was two women, and it's a lot of work to disassemble all that stuff and put it back where it can be sealed up. So I stayed, and by the time it was over, it was 10:30 at night. And, I went from Happy Valley to Placer and Market, where the ROV's office is, and I only hit one red light. Can you believe that?
Wow.
There must be 15 red lights.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we got it done. Our elections polling place down there went smooth as heck, and I'm just proud as punch as the job we did. So let's move along. I've had trouble figuring out how to get to our podcast here, and Leslie is going to explain it from start to finish. So 1, 2, 3, Leslie.
Hey. So you're going to want to head to mountaintopmedia.com. If you Google it, you're going to get multiple listings. So you might as well just use mountaintopmedia.com. When you get there, it's going to look like this. When you scroll down, our website guy is adding Poke the Hornet's Nest. These are our main shows. It's going to be right up here at the top. For now, if you click on Patriot State of Mind, all of the Poke the Hornet's Nest episodes are there. So mountaintopmedia.com, click on Patriot State of Mind. Within this week, you will see mountaintopmedia.com and Poke the Hornet's Nest will be right here. All right? Simple as that.
The viewers, it's picking up a little bit each month. I expect it to pick up now that we have brought an end to the show on KQMS. And that was our choice. We weren't run off. And actually, it was a good experience over there. Thank you, KQMS, for doing a good job. Now, Leslie, when I go to mountaintopmedia.com, I usually have to put a /Reading in there because there's Mountaintop Media in Kentucky and Appalachia and New York.
That's if you're Googling. If you put mountaintopmedia.com, it will go here because we own that website.
So get away from Google, is that what you're saying?
Always get away from Google.
Okay, well, I don't know how to do that, so I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, in your browser. Don't go to your search thing. Go to your browser.
At the top there, Nick.
mountaintopmedia.com.
Okay.
And just Mountaintop Media. That's
And
all I
then
need.
just hit this little star thing and it'll stay there.
Okay. I'll do the best I can with a little bit I've got to work with. You might have to come over and set it up for me. See, I don't have a phone. I've just got a desktop at home, and and I'm glad I don't have a phone. At least 50% of the people that I tell that I've never had a cell phone say, "Good for you."
I'm going to tell you, you're a Renaissance man. You got it where you don't have any of the modern irritations of never being unavailable. So congrats. I wish I could do that. My business does not allow that.
Well, if I had to have one, I'd have one, but I don't. So we're going to move on. What do you want to talk about, Doug?
Oh, well, I know, I know that the elections, the initial results were not necessarily the direction we wanted to go. But then what I found very interesting, and I still, everything we talk about seems to be this conspiracy that somehow turns out to be true at the end of the day. But I did not know until I started seeing reports that on election night, of all nights, they had a power outage at the polling or at the ROV. And what are the odds that on that night, when they're in the middle of counting, they lose all the power? So that I don't know. I don't know if there's any way you could kind of backtrack, research where did that go? Was a switch flipped? Was it's
well,
it just reeks of something is not right. I mean, they're there all the time and nothing happens. And on that night, all of a sudden,
I think they had some kind of a 48-hour illness because a lot of people canceled at the last minute and couldn't help.
Yeah, you were telling me about that, but you didn't want to talk about that today.
Well, no, I don't want to go into depth on it. But that's the reason I was thrown in, because a lot of people canceled out, and certainly I wasn't qualified to be where I am. But I'm proud to say I rose to the occasion. Here's something I wanted to discuss with you, the guy with worldly knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
When Trump canceled USAID, Democratic National Committee lost most of its money and had to borrow millions just to keep the lights on. The Democratic National Committee went broke because we canceled USAID, which was a money pit. It's a worse money pit than owning a private airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
USAID? Yep, USAID. It turned out that the money was going to NGOs, the Democratic Party. It was going to explicitly to organizations around the world that were anti-American. So we were actually supporting organizations who their entire reason for existing was to hate America.
And give our money away.
And we'll give our money away. And I think the number that was reported back in the day was something like $10 billion, which in today's world, $10 billion sounds like a drop in the bucket. But do keep in mind, that's 10,000 million dollars.
That's not much. They've sure cheapened up $1 million, haven't they?
Well, you know.
When I was a kid, if you had $1 million, you'd never have to work
I remember
again.
that the first $1 million contract I remember as an athlete back when I was young is Dave Winfield from the Yankees was given $1 million a year. And we thought, how in the world? That's crazy money. And then fast forward all these years, you had stinking A-Rod and Derek Jeter, and now it's not even that abnormal, but yeah, those guys signing $250 million contracts.
Let me point
and
out.
And so, you know, $1 million used to be a lot of money. USAID had 10,000 million, and they were giving it only to organizations that hated America.
You know, when Dave Winfield signed that $1 million a year contract, hamburgers were 35 cents.
Yes.
You know?
So, I mean, that would have been probably, I don't know, that would be like a Shohei Ohtani contract today in that it was so
They
ridiculous.
probably signed high school kids out of to the minor leagues for $1 million a year. The superstar.
The kid that's just got promoted, he was the #1 overall draft, I think, 2 years ago. I think his signing bonus just to sign out of high school was $6 million. Yeah.
Well, you know, you see these football players that are having trouble with their Maseratis and their fancy cars speeding at 140 miles an hour.
Yes.
That probably never had a driver's license. I remember there was a basketball player that got drafted. His name escapes me, but part of his signing bonus was a Ferrari. And he had it parked in his garage, and when people came over, he'd take them down and show them his Ferrari, but he didn't know how to drive it because he didn't know how to drive a shift.
Yeah, I believe that. And if he was a basketball player, Ferraris, I've been in a good number of Ferraris in my my coaching career at the racetrack. They're small cars. They're not the spacious, put a 6'7" basketball player inside.
His knees are on his chin.
Knees, so he probably couldn't even drive it just because of the physical size of him trying to get into that thing. I mean, I'm 5'11" and
he was a
change.
short guard. He was only 6'8".
Okay, well, there you go. So I can tell you, having been in Enzos, F40s, 488s, all kinds of Ferraris, they're not very big cars. So it doesn't surprise me he couldn't drive the damn car.
Well, he couldn't drive it because he didn't know how to shift it. So they gave him a 7-Eleven, and that way he could rob it anytime he wanted.
There you go.
So anyway, going back to
the USAID.
Thousands and thousands, I don't have the number down, many thousands of people worked for NGOs that depended on that money, making six-figure, 200,000 to 300,000.
Oh, yeah.
And less than half have found full-time work. And they're in dire straits, especially in Washington, D.C., because that's where they're all. And it went on. Some of them have had to move into family, and some of them have had to sign up for assistance.
Nick, none of this surprises me because that's pretty much explicitly what the UN is in New York. It's a group of people with no talents, bad attitudes.
They've got a degree.
They hate America. And we've been funding that thing for pretty much since its inception. So I would say that if Trump really wanted to go next level, he would stop all funding to NATO and all funding to the UN and watch how quickly that both organizations crumble into nothing. There is no need for NATO anymore. The Cold War is over.
I believe he'll get to that. I really do. He's threatened. He told Germany he was going to jerk out all our troops.
He's going to get out 5,000 troops is what he said he's doing. I don't know that he's done it.
Yes.
Trump's very good about saying he's going to do stuff and then actually doesn't do it.
Yeah, because they jump, they get in line and be where he wants them to be.
Yeah, I don't know. You're the European.
You're not a big Trump fan.
Well, no, I voted for the guy, but in my opinion,
If you could take your vote back, you'd vote for Kamala.
I wouldn't
you?
vote for her. No. Given the same. Somebody asked me the other day on the voting day, are you still with Clint Curtis? And I said, given the choices I have, Joanna or Clint, 100%. Yes, I want honest elections. I said, personally, I don't know the guy well enough to judge his personal setup. I go, but as a professional doing the job, yes, I would vote for Clint Curtis again and again. So I voted for Trump, but the more I learn, the more you scratch the scab, the more you realize that, the Bidens were chump change when it comes to what corruption is being done right now. The Bidens played in millions.
Well,
the Trump's playing billions.
I'll challenge you to bring in the corruption in 2 weeks when we're on.
I will bring some in right now if you want.
How about her?
There's a organization that Donald Jr. Bought shares in, and he rallied his dad to get funding for it. His dad approved a bunch of funding, and Don Jr. walked away with $1.8 billion.
But what is it?
It was a defense contractor that shouldn't have got the contract. Planeteer, he's got tons of people who jumped in on Planeteer when it was trading for nothing, and it's gone up 700% because he gave him a $400 million contract to. And here's the deal, Nick. Trump is, bar none, the biggest surveillance state person we will ever see. He makes everybody in history look like a part-time player. Planeteer, the flock cameras, these data centers, they are only there so we can be controlled. And he's overseeing it. He's pushing it. He is the man. And so history is going to reveal when this man is done, he bankrupted us because he himself is adding almost $20 trillion to our debt. When he was there the first time, he added 9. So let's not forget that. He added 9. He locked us down. He gave us the jab. Don't forget those ideas. We survived that through Biden, and I don't know how. We're now at the point where they're projecting that before he leaves office, he will add almost $11 trillion to our debt. If you're really making America great again, you're not adding $20 trillion to our debt. You're paying it down. You're paying it off. Our military industrial complex is getting a budget of $1.5 trillion. And that's
you know what
that's
I heard?
$1,500 billion is going to our military. We have the budget of almost the entire world combined for our military. That's
I heard
crazy.
that Biden Hunter is an advisor to the Trumps.
Well, you know what? I'm telling you, looking back and the stuff that we as conservatives were raising our hands and going absolutely crazy over, the Burisma and all this stuff, they were talking millions of dollars. The corruption that is going on right now, we're talking billions of dollars. And so the more you find, the more you pull off the scab, the deeper the wound. So I'm not very impressed with Mr. Trump. I'm not impressed with what he's doing. He did shut down the border, but there's no mass deportations. We were promised that.
Yes,
that's not happening.
Yes, I agree with you.
We were promised that, and that's not. He's actually deported less people than Biden did. At this point, at this point in his presidency, he has deported less than Biden, and Biden let in 20 million people. So let that sink in.
Yeah, but the thing is, Obama and Biden, they counted the people that stopped at the border and got turned back as deported.
I get that.
So they weren't deported.
Neither of them, the Republicans, the rhinos, or the Democrats, are being honest about those numbers. So yes, he did shut down the border. We'll give him that. Okay. After that, what happened to Epstein? What happened to the gold count? What happened to Doge? I could go on to all these things that we were promised. No new wars. I'm telling you, Iran is kicking his ass.
Oh, that's what I'm waiting to see, and I'm kind of
Iran's
dissatisfied.
kicking his ass because if, in fact, we had the baddest ass military in the world, we would be going through that strait. He knows, as does his military brass. We go send a ship through there, Iran will overload it with drones and airborne drones, seaborne drones, and they also have hypersonic missiles, thanks to China, that can reach from the launch to a ship in about 3 minutes. We cannot defend those. So
3 minutes?
Not even that long. I mean,
I was going
basically,
to say that seems like a long time.
well, because
by
the time they actually detect it, it gets up and then it comes back. I say it's less than 3 minutes.
But that straight's only less than 30 miles
I know.
wide.
But my point being is, so he knows that we cannot get that straight back. So
Well, I'll tell you what.
who's really winning the war there?
I'll tell you what I saw this morning. There was 1 killed and 63 injured by an Iranian strike on an airport in Kuwait. Now, that doesn't sound to me like somebody that has their army decimated.
Well, and it's funny.
So
when
I'm wondering what the hell's going on.
Well, that's the funny thing is
they,
he started with, we've just decimated their Navy, we've decimated their Air Force, we've decimated. Now he's got public comments going, we left some of it intact for their benefit. He's having to backtrack everything he has said.
I haven't heard that, but it seems like
I saw the
Iran's
video.
poking the hornet's nest, and Trump's not doing what I would expect him to do.
Iran is not going to capitulate for being bombed. They've already been bombed. They've been bombed to oblivion. The only way we're going to get, quote, our objectives, which is the dust and all the good stuff that they keep talking about.
Uranium dust.
The uranium dust is we have to send in troops, and that means American blood spilled. Where's the Israeli troops going to be? They're not there. They weren't there when we did Iraq. And yet they are decimated. They've decimated Gaza. They're decimating Lebanon. And so Trump has got himself in a situation where he's managed to paint himself into a corner. And he can keep saying, the negotiations are going great. When you see what's going on outside of America, the press outside of America, which is not necessarily pro-American, but the Iranians are telling the world press, we're not negotiating with that guy. We're not negotiating with Kushner. We're not negotiating with any of his people because they keep lying to us. And Trump gets on our TV, the negotiations going, we're really close to a deal. The strait's open.
Well, I don't like the deal he's making. I think
there is no deal.
My opinion is we went over there to overturn the regime and install a democratic government. And now we go over there and we beat the hell out of them and we want to negotiate to end the war. I say we beat them up and end the war. That's my thought. One thing I feel should be brought to their attention is government was created to serve the people. But it seems to me right now that we, the people, are serving the government. Does that sound logical to you?
Well, it doesn't sound logical. It sounds factual. Logic makes no sense because we, the people, of the people, for the people, all the good stuff that we're supposed to have in our Constitution, the reality is this iteration of government that we have and Europe has and Australia has is the government is becoming more tyrannical. I was listening to Mark Baird on the way in today on Carl's show, and he's talking about they had a big court case yesterday, and I didn't hear much about how it went out, but it sounds like it didn't go our direction. And Mark was talking about the fact that the Constitution says blah blah blah, but we're asking for permission on a right that we've been given in our Constitution. So, yes, I agree with you to the fact that this is not the government that we were supposed to get. And every day it gets worse. And Carl asked Mark, and I had to shut the car off, why are people so, why are the liberals, the idiots, so against having guns? And it's simple. It's absolutely super simple. Tyranny only exists with an unarmed populace.
That's absolutely right.
And tyranny only exists if the cops and the military enact what the politicians want. So don't forget that. No tyranny has ever taken over a world without the cops and the military. And so we have what is, by all measures, the most well-armed civilian militia to ever exist in the world.
We're probably more well-armed than almost every other army in the world.
I've seen numbers that said we have, I don't know, something like 3 billion guns and so many trillion rounds of ammo in the civilian people.
Doug's got an armory up there at the horse ranch.
Send
in a hyper missile and bomb that place up.
I'm not saying that. So I'm saying
that's what we're against, though.
Well, then my point being is that's what
we need 100,000 drones swarming the horse sanctuary up there. Doug's gonna cut loose,
and it's coming. But no, so that's what the people who don't want us to have guns, but they have guns. I mean, they get private security. They get to stand behind the CHP with their weapons, but they are fighting so hard to take our guns away because that's the only way tyranny can succeed.
What I was told,
I agree with you.
Did you hear that? He agrees with me.
I did.
I was talking to a couple guys last week, and they told me that Nevada has open carry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually, I'll tell you this great story. There's a hat maker in Virginia City, a guy named Pascal, French guy. He's made 2 hats for me, love him to death. But he was finishing a hat for me that he outdid. And he said, come back in about an hour. So we went down to one of the bars. It's down a steep set of stairs, little hole in the wall, been there since the mining times. And we're sitting there, and there's 3 guys on the bar. All 3 had holstered, like literally holstered guns. They had knives in their back hanging on something on a belt, and they're drinking. And oddly enough, nobody got shot. There was no anger.
And there was no bar fights.
There was no bar fights. But the point being is I can test from seeing it firsthand that, and people are like, well, they're not supposed to get in a bar. Well, I'm telling you what.
Well, that's in California.
Well, I'm just saying. So that was in Nevada. I can assure you, I saw 3 guys sitting at a bar, and they all had guns on their hips, and they were not cops.
You could have been a whistleblower.
I wouldn't whistleblow on those men. I would. I'd thank them for supporting the Constitution.
So I read a headline this morning. Trump is trying to put together a state-dominated media system. Do you remember when Biden tried to have the media stories okayed by the White House, by the government?
Yeah.
And now they're accusing Trump of trying to do that. And I haven't seen him trying to do that. But, boy, I'll tell you what.
No. Again, now you're wrong.
No,
I'm
not.
Hold on.
No,
because the FBI is now, because one of the things that's happening now is us civilians are starting to wake up. These AR centers are absolutely devastating to the local communities. They're devastating. They drain the groundwater. They're drawing so much electricity that in parts of the country where they've put these AI centers, the local electric bill has gone up 300 to 400% for the locals because they're drawing so much electricity. They're competing with, Jim and Joe in their house with 3 kids. And so these data centers. And so now you have people speaking out at public forums against the data centers. And the FBI has created a new brand of terrorism, of AI opponent things, and they're now going after them like they did the January 6 people. They're now going after them with propaganda. So yes, I believe Trump is really doing that. But here's the story I was referring to.
But at least with the electricity, it doesn't go out on election night.
Well, no, it doesn't go on election. So here's the story I'm going to read, and I know this is to be straight on because I've seen it now a couple times. Trump Jr. made $1.8 billion on a startup that got the White House ordered funding when the Pentagon announced a $620 million loan last year to a small North Carolina startup linked to Donald Trump Jr. Defense officials and the company tried to tamp down suspicions of cronyism. Interviews and Defense Department records reviewed by ProPublica show that requests to loan hundreds of millions of dollars to the firm linked to Trump Jr. was made by Peter Navarro, a White House advisor to President Trump and a friend of Trump Jr.'s. The call came in from the White House to get it done. Trump Jr. made $1.8 million on one phone call from his dad. Don't tell me.
I wonder if he'd loan me his phone.
Yeah, don't tell me that these guys are playing above board because they're not. And there's more of this coming out.
I have to agree with you. Who would you like to have running our country that wouldn't cheat? Thomas
Massey.
I don't know who he is.
He's the guy that was the best congressman that we had in the United States Congress.
Is that the one Trump doesn't like?
That's the one that Trump and the Israeli AIPAC spent $37 million, the most ever spent on a congressional race to defeat him. And he was pro-Trump, pro-MAGA. But he was also, when he would vote, he would read the bills. He was against the big, beautiful bill, which is one of the worst things to come through for America.
Except for Obamacare.
Well, this one's going to probably be close.
I read where Obamacare, the health insurance, is costing people now more than their mortgage payment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The company I work for, which is EXP, we actually have a...
no advertise. We're going to have to charge him.
Fair enough. No, but I use this. We have an option to take advantage of a health plan that they provide. Before that, my wife and I, and this would have been 5 years ago, we were with Blue Shield, the Blue Cross, one of the blues, and our monthly premium for sub 60 non-smokers, generally speaking, other than a couple pounds, was $1,800 a month for 2 people. We are now with this EXP
$22,000
a year that we weren't using. I mean, because we haven't really had any issues. And then we went to EXP, and now we're with this group share. I'm not exactly sure, and we haven't had to use it, but we're paying $600 a month. So when you say insurance premiums have gone up to the point where they're more than house payments, I was literally paying $1,700 for my homeowners to own a house, and I was paying $1,800 for my health insurance.
And that homeowner's covered insurance and taxes.
Yeah, that was all in.
Yeah, okay. You know, I talked to a fellow the other day. He has a sixplex. I'm pretty sure he said it was a sixplex.
Yeah.
His insurance on that has gone up to $20,000 a month.
Not a month, it has to be a year.
That's right. $20,000 a year. He said that's 2 months worth of rent from all 6 of those places.
Yep.
And then you've got taxes on top of that.
Yep.
And boy,
and I'll give you a news flash for all you folks who are listening. Make sure to share and have people jump on the show with us. I'm meeting with an insurance agent today. We have been made aware, if you're paying attention in my business, which most are not, and that's a knock on them because we could do better as a group. But it has come down the pike that in October, Fair Plan is going to see between a 30 and a 50% increase on all premiums. So if you're paying $5,000 a year now, next year could be $7,500. Let that sink in, okay? And so the reason I'm meeting with this insurance agent is, first off, I need to find out truth. And then there is apparently an alternative that is coming online through a private company. And I want to find out what it is before I spill the beans. But yes, your in health insurance exceeds your house payment, and before soon, if California keeps going, you won't even be able to get fire insurance.
yes, and Obama shoved that down our throats.
Well,
We can think
don't forget, rhinos actually supported the damn thing, and the Supreme Court, which had a air quotes conservative link, John Roberts was the one that pushed it through. You can't blame Obama. We had the opportunity to stop.
I can blame Obama if
You
I
can't,
want
but
to.
we could have stopped it.
One of
and
the
we
best things
didn't.
we stopped with Obama was that huge chunk of coal heading for Mount Rushmore.
I'm just saying, so we keep trying to blame Biden for this stuff. And don't forget, Trump came in with he added $9 trillion, and then Biden added his boondoggles.
Well,
and now Trump's going to add another $11 trillion. That's the problem with conservatives.
Even if it's temporary and fleeting, Trump brought pride back to our country.
Yeah, but if you leave America,
That's a but. But yeah,
no, there's a but. If you leave America, we are not as respected as people want to think that we are in America.
You know, these people that hate America, let's pitch in and buy them a ticket to what? Did you see what he's doing with those people he is deporting, the criminals? Some of them, their countries don't want them back.
Yeah.
And he has signed a contract, or got 17 different countries has agreed to accept them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You're from Nicaragua, okay? You're going to the Congo.
Well, yeah, and it was El Salvador, which has their president. God, what's his name? He came in on just one platform. He was going to make El Salvador safe, and basically they went through constitutional people. Their constitution is not ours. They sent the military out, and if you were a young male and you had a gang tattoo, and you only got a tattoo if you were in a gang, they locked you up for life. They have a prison up on the top of a hill that holds 40,000 people.
Seacott, isn't it?
Yeah. And their crime rate has plummeted to they're now the safest country on earth, and they were the most dangerous.
They were the murder capital of the world.
And Trump had, what was her name? Trump had sent, who was the cutie? Not Christy Noom, Tulsi Gabbard, I think it was, down there. Maybe it was Christy, because we were going to send our criminal deportees in exchange for money. We were going to pay to have them housed there.
Yes.
And it was the Democrats who actually were protesting us getting these people out of our country. You just can't make that up.
I just watched a YouTube, and I think it was on 60 Minutes. I'm not sure. And this big cheese journalist from Europe wanted to go down and check the inhumane conditions down there and the people that were locked up. It just isn't fair. And he was face to face with an enforcer that killed people for one of the gangs down there. And this guy was telling him, he's proud of it, there was a group of 5 workmen that got mixed up, and they were laying cable and strayed over into his turf. and he killed him with a machete, beheaded him, and he's proud of it. And he even filmed it, and they held the camera up to this guy, and he changed his mind. He's all in for that prison now and the people that are locked up. I mean, you can't imagine the crimes that they committed against the people. Well, we're going to go. The last thing I want to say is the election went so smooth, I couldn't believe the good job that Clint Curtis did. And at my polling place, every vote got counted.
Good job. We'll see you. I'll be back in 2 weeks, Nick.
I'll be here next week.
See ya.
Bye.